Hello people, how you doing? This may sound a little bit odd to some, but to others practical. I've never asked for a dime off this YouTube thing. Not that I'd ever made one, pretty lowly. But why don't we start a GoFundMe account to start doing some scientific measurements of Earth to prove it's flat, so that we can get a class action lawsuit against NASA for purporting that it was some sphere. It's pretty dangerous when you step over the bounds of the reality that the government portrays for the majority of the people to believe, and that's why wars happen, and that's why this COVID's happening right now, is because too many people were getting onto the earth as being flat. They had to deflame it. So why don't we just go ahead and start a GoFundMe account, someone. I will use my own money and I'll go to the coast. I'll take GoFundMe money to buy the instruments and to certify and verify that the measurements are being carried out correctly by observation and being involved myself with measurements. I'm very skilled in being able to shoot in a distance with an instrument, setting up to build on construction sites, so we can buy us a top grade theodolite and a very nice engineer rule. Don't even have to be that nice. The rule's only going to be out there. It's only once you do the math for Euclidean geometry and the Pythagorean theorem of geometry and spheres, for it to be a spinning ball with a circumference of 24,901 mile, it must have a curvature drop of 7.98 inches per mile squared. Just real close to that 8 inches per mile squared that everyone talks about. And therefore, if you go out on the ocean at high tide and you set up your hub markers at the splash line where the ocean is splashing high and staying maintaining, and it's splashing high and maintaining, and you go right in between there and you drive a hub marker in there to where it won't move 200 yards in one side, 200 yards on the other side, and drive the hub marker in where you are setting up. And that way you can double check when you come back the other way, because you can also shoot 400 yards with these instruments we have today. And so you set your instrument up there at 4-foot elevation, and then you go over to the other hub marker that's over there where the high tide is, 90 degrees over there, and you go out there with that engineer rule, and if Earth is a spinning ball with a circumference of 24,901 miles, it has to have a curvature drop elevation of 2 3/4 of an inch in 200 yards drop. But I'm telling you is by observation of reality. I don't need to go do this, and that's why I refuse to use my own money, and I suggest we set up a GoFundMe account so that people can get involved, and rather than have to spend their money, they can say, hey, I want some of this GoFundMe account because I'm going to go over there and I'm going to observe this and I'm going to see if it's real. I'm going to verify it. I don't want paid for it. The GoFundMe account at the end can do whatever. I'm not wanting it. I don't want the money. I never have. Is all I want is reimbursed for what I would have to put out to do it. I think it would enable us to even go so far as to open up a class action lawsuit against NASA over the deceit they've been projecting over the people for the hundreds of years, since 1959, 58, late 58, first 59, when they were incepted. And they have been lying to us and stealing our money since. I don't know. That's a government thing. It would just prove all illegitimate government, I guess, and it would blow them apart. Anyway, that's where I'm at on this subject right now, and I would appreciate some input. And you guys need to share this stuff, because Google ain't gonna tell everybody out there, hey, this old man here, he's got a pretty good idea of what we need to be doing. Because that there would settle as soon as you go out and you measure that the earth is flat physically with mechanical means, you measure it being flat, it totally disbands all the fucking video footage that they've ever projected to show you being a sphere. It really does, because if you can't physically measure it, and I'm the originator of this idea of the physical measurement, people. I'm the one that said originally that you can't physically measure the rotation with a mechanical means of the miles per hour it spins. And I'm also the originator that says you can't physically measure the radius due to our builder's equipment that we have today, and knowing that everything is built level and perpendicular. And when you go to a city that's 100 miles wide, and that building on the left is vertical, and the building on the right 100 miles away is vertical to your vantage point, it pretty much sums it up. That everything's built vertical and flat on a plane. With that, gentlemen, ladies, boys and girls of all ages, I say that we go ahead and start a GoFundMe account to prove the earth is a sphere. See ya.